Today's subject is on the mind, Cittanupassana, contemplation of the mind. And monks, how does a monk live practicing mind contemplation in the mind? Herein, a monk knows the last affected mind as last affected, or he knows the last free mind as last free. The Pali word is raga, saragam, vittaragam is last free. And the second one, he knows the hate-affected mind as hate-affected, and he knows the hate-free mind as hate-free. So dosa in Pali, sa-dosam, dosa is a hated mind, and adosam is hate-free, adosam. And the third one, he knows the delusion-affected mind as delusion-affected. He knows the delusion-free mind as delusion-free mind. So delusion is moha, sa-moham. So moha, sa-moham. Ah-moham is delusion-free. So I'll talk about these basic roots of the unwholesome mind, and the other is the mind that is free from the unwholesome. So what is the first one on the raga? Lastful mind. Now what is this lastful mind? It includes the degrees of attachment, cravings, selfish desire, longings, covetousness, clinging, etc. Now, this is generally called the attachment mind, the mind that is attached. Now, what is this attachment? So, most of you would understand what this attachment means. Attachment is like a yuhu gum. It's very sticky. It just like to glue on to something and refuse to let go. So that is called attachment. Now, attached to what? Attached to the things we see, smell, taste, touch. And even attached to our own thoughts, our own thinking. So, why do we attach to the object? Because the object is pleasurable. It's a pleasant object. So therefore there is this attachment to the objects. And once there is this attachment, it produces a lot of enjoyment. So that is why our mind likes to attach. Don't you think so? We like pleasant sounds, music. It makes us happy, especially the music lovers. They can be very happy the whole day. Listen to songs that they like to listen. Relatively, they can feel very happy. Now, example, a year ago, he started to take to music, start to sing songs. And I could see a change of his character. He's no longer that angry. He gets angry very fast. He doesn't like things, he gets angry. But after he starts singing, the moment he comes back home, his music starts. He starts to sing when he opens the door. And it's very pleasant. Otherwise, what is to eat? Very fierce. Now it has done something to his mind. He becomes less ill will, less strong anger. Because now he feels happy. Because music occupies his mind. So he feels less strong anger. He will just sing and he forgets about his frustration. Then I look at him, I say, there's a change of him. So it has something pleasant to occupy the mind. Enjoyment in the mind. So there is less disturbances, there's less anger and hatred and frustration. Because when the mind is enjoying the objects, the hatred cannot arise, anger cannot arise. It arises on an unpleasant object, which is different. It's different from attachment mind. Attachment mind stays on the pleasant objects, whereas the anger mind, the hatred mind, stays on the unpleasant objects. It's different. But of course, it is not wholesome. It arises with a lot of feelings, pleasant feelings, but it is worldly feelings, worldly happy feeling. It is not wholesome. But then, singing does not harm anybody, doesn't make anybody unhappy. He makes himself happy. So, compared to the anger, shouting, screaming, well, probably the singing is much better than the rough words. Right or not? It's better, isn't it? But then, the characteristics of this attachment to pleasant objects, it creates some sort of happiness. That is where most people constantly search for these pleasant objects, because it makes them happy. Now, if they can have all these pleasant objects to enjoy, then their life, indeed, is a very happy life. If you wake up, they have nice things to see. They have a beautiful garden with a lot of flowers, different flowers and colors, clean garden. They wake up with nice music, and then they have nice breakfast, lunch and dinner, then go to an ambience restaurant, enjoy their food and relax, hear music at the same time and smell the nice smell and taste the nice taste. Then it's a happy life. Unless the unpleasant objects is strong, unless they are sick, they are terminal ill, or they suffered great pain physically, then they find they could not enjoy such thing anymore, because the other one has overcome the pleasant things that one keep on holding to the mind. Like, for example, there's a friend of mine, and he's doing very big business, and one day he invited a group of us out to have a very nice lunch, and he orders a lot of nice food, and we were all sort of enjoying the food. It's very nice, expensive food. But not him, he could not enjoy. So he put on a face, he smiled, but we know he has problem. Then we say, hey, what's wrong with you? You order so much food, but you're not eating. And I say, I'm not in the mood to eat. I say, why are you not in the mood to eat? He says, well, he's thinking how to cover up some loans. He looks rich, but he has loans too. He borrows a lot of money from the bank, and he needs to cover it. So there are something unpleasant thoughts that he needs to cover the loan. If he don't, then he would have big problem. Bank will seize his property, bank will come after him, give him lawyer notice. There is something more unpleasant things in his mind that he couldn't enjoy the food that was so nice right in front of him, that he himself choose. He ordered all those nice dishes that he likes to eat himself, but he couldn't enjoy it. He couldn't enjoy the lunch with us. He just smile, do a little bit of tasting here and there, but he can't really eat. The nature of this mind, we need to understand the nature, how the mind works, so that we have a choice. We can either make ourselves happy or make ourselves sad. Now, how is this mind works? It is not just happy by itself. It just not pray to some beings, to Pekong or whatever Kong, and say, please make me happy. It does not work that way. It does not mean that you put a very big joystick and say, oh, please let my this year be a happy year. It does not work that way, no matter how big is your joystick. Still the happiness comes from your own self, from your own mind. How you learn to manage your mind, how you learn to manage your problem, that it doesn't seize your mind, doesn't overcome your mind and make you suffer in misery. To do that, you must understand how the mind works. And in this discourse on the Maha Satipatthana, the 16 types of mind which the Buddha named, there are these 16 types of mind. Some are very common, that we experience them every day, all the time, but we're just not aware. Just not aware when it arises. Apart from that, the Buddha says there are also other types of mind that are very lofty, very high. If you practice, if you train your mind, you could reach up to that state of mind. That it is there, it exists. Because the Buddha have experienced it, and so are his followers, so are his monks who have experienced such states of mind. They are such mind that if you train, you can get it. So in this Cittanupassana, watching the mind, Buddha first named these 16 types of mind, and the attachment mind. You must understand why we are attached. Because the object is pleasant. Most of us are attached. We are attached to a lot of things. We are attached to material things. We are attached to immaterial things. We are attached to concepts. See, I think I'm right. And if you say I'm not right, let's fight. Concepts. That I think I'm right. This is what I think. If you think not right, then let's fight. We're even attached to our thinking. Yet, our thinking is not constant. Our thinking is changing all the time. What we think is right today may not be right tomorrow. We would have changed our concepts, our thinking. What we think right in the past may not be right now in the present. Because we change. With condition, we change. We mature. We develop wisdom. We understand things more. Then we change. But people die fighting for their concepts. They kill each other because of concepts, because he thinks that this is what I believe. So if you touch on my belief, I kill you. But yet, concept is just a concept. At the juncture, at the moment, you form that concept. Other moment, you form another concept. And the old concept is no more. A new concepts appear. So is the mind constantly attached because it gives us great joy. Then why must we be aware of this attachment mind? Because strong attachment gives a lot of problem. If we are very attached to things that we love, when it is not there, it gives us a lot of suffering. You have heard about, of course, lovers. If they cannot be together, they prefer to die together because they can't separate from each other, because they're so attached to each other that they cannot separate. If you force them to separate, then they will experience a lot of sadness, a lot of mental torture. So when we note this attachment mind, then we are in control of the mind, that we do not let our mind go too extreme. That once the things that we have is lost, then it gives us a lot of suffering. So we just note the mind as attachment. What we can have, we have. What we can't have, okay, that's quite all right. We work for things we can't have. It does not mean that, okay, meditation means no attachment, cut everything, let's go to the forest, to the cave and meditate. Not possible. If you lock your body in the cave, you can't lock your mind. Your mind is still going home. Just as you're sitting here meditating, the mind always goes back home to your children, to your husband, to your wife, or maybe even to your dog, whether somebody has fed your dog or not. Yes, there are those who are so attached to their dog that they can't go for holidays because nobody look after their dog. Yes, because you're so attached to them. So when it arises in our mind, then we should know. Knowing. If we have money, we buy it. If you have no money, never mind. We just save money to buy it. As you go shopping, you know, I can't afford a fish that costs $20. Never mind, I buy a fish that costs $10. It's still fish. Only don't buy a live fish. Buy a dead fish. So you buy things you can afford. So your mind will not be disturbed. Always thinking of things you can't afford. Longing for things you can't afford. Then it causes you a lot of disturbances. Then you feel deprived, you feel sad, you feel angry, frustrated, because you can't afford so many things in life. So watch that mind. Watch that attachment mind. Attachment mind. As you watch it, it arises, it passes away. So it won't gain momentum. If it gains momentum, then it builds up, becomes very strong. So when it becomes very strong, then it controls your mind. Then it tells your mind, I must have this, if not I die. Yes. Because you can't do without it anymore, because you have built up this strong momentum in your mind, because you are not aware. So in meditation, we deal with the mind. So mind is a very important base for our mindfulness. Must be aware of what's happening in this mind. Is it attached or is it free from attachment? There are those after they meditate for some time, they start to be very free. They start to say, okay, don't bother about this, don't bother about that. Sometimes they're so attached to their children, to their grandchildren, it keeps them so busy and they get so angry. They say, okay, I don't want to see so much, okay, let them be. So they start to loosen things up, detach themselves. Slowly, what they can leave, they just leave. Slowly, they let go and let go. And they become more peaceful, more contented. And there's more time for spiritual life. If you're attached to a lot of things, you have no time for spiritual life. You have no time even to come to listen to Dhamma talk. Because you have so much things to do. You have no time to do wholesome things. So especially people who are coming of age, retirement, we should spend more time in the spiritual life. So we learn to be detached. A lot of things we are able to let go if we want to. If you analyze them, there are a lot of things that we do not need to be involved. To learn to be detached, to see it and let go. Now, when you feel your mind becomes more and more free, becomes more and more calm and peaceful, then you know that the mind has become more and more detached. More and more detached. In other words, free from attachment. Right?